Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. I'm your host, the Dividend Aristocrat, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at all my dividend income for the month of June. Now, I'm really excited to get into this video because it's the first dividend update I've been able to do in the past couple of months. As a reminder, this is not financial advice, and I'm just merely sharing my opinions on this channel. Now, with that being said, let's start by taking a look at my portfolio dashboard. So in total, I have invested $64,780 with a current portfolio value sitting at $97,600. We're getting really close to that $100,000 mark, and I hope we can hit it this year. Now, in terms of unrealized gains, I'm at over 30,000, which puts me at a total return of about 50% with a total dividend earned of 3,000 since starting my account and a yearly projected income going forward of $1,377 per year. That puts my portfolio yield at 1.41% or a yield on initial cost of 2.13%. Now in total, I have 20 different holdings with a cash position of about $3,000, so there's a little bit of flexibility there with what I can invest in, but not as much as I'd like. Now if we take a look at this chart right here, we can see my annual dividend payout per stock ranked from highest to lowest. So in the top three order, we have VOO, schd, and United Health, which are some of my largest positions in the portfolio. Taking a look at this table over here, the reason I like to show it in these videos is because it helps illustrate how much I've invested and how much dividends I received every year since starting this portfolio. So my first year in 2020, I invested $2,800, and right now you can see that in 2026, I've already invested over $11,000. Now it's been great being able to contribute more into my portfolio. Overall, it hovered around the $10,000 mark for quite some time, and then in 2025, you can see I built up a pretty large cash position, which I finally had an opportunity to deploy, so I invested about $18,000 that year. Now it would be great if I can hit that same number this year, but I don't think I'll be able to reach it. I'm hoping to maybe get between 13 to 15K by the end of the year. Now the column that I do like more is a dividend received because it doesn't depend as much on me. For the most part, as long as I continue holding the same holdings, it should go up over time. So the first year I only received $1,245, and then a couple years later I was getting almost $500, and in 2025 I made over $1,000, just barely broke that mark. Now this year I am projecting about $1,200 in total income. We'll see how that goes. We're a little bit over 7 months into the year and we've already hit $626 of dividend earned, which you can see illustrated in this table below. Since it has been a while since I've last done a portfolio update, especially for my dividend income, let's take a look at my future value calculator. And if you guys want to try this out for yourself, you can get it for free on my Patreon. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment below. So my starting principal is my current portfolio value, which is sitting at over $97,000, and my annual contribution is how much I'm expecting to be investing every year going forward, which I'm going to leave at $1,000 a month or $12,000 for the year. The annual dividend yield is the current dividend my portfolio pays out, and the expected dividend increase and price appreciation can be adjusted as we see fit. Now for today's example, let's put a lower dividend increase per year and let's put a higher price appreciation. Let's assume that somehow we do get 10% per year, which would be incredible. Now, if that's the case, you can see that at year 40, I'll have an over $10 million portfolio with a dividend income per year of $14,000 or a total dividend earned by that time of over $270,000. Now, 40 years is not that realistic. Most people do not have 40 years to wait for their portfolio to grow, so we can change here the time frame. In this case, let's select the 20-year mark, which is a little bit more reasonable. If I continue investing the same amount into my portfolio every year and I see an average price appreciation of 10% per year with a dividend increase of 4% per year, my portfolio value by year 20 will be $1.3 million with a yearly dividend income of $6,000. If you guys do want to try this out, like I said, I'll leave the link in the description and in the pinned comment below. Now, without wasting any more time, let's take a look at my dividend income for the month of June. And as you can see, this was an extremely large month for me. If the title didn't already give it away, this is my largest month of dividend income ever. So I'll go down in order in just a second, but let me explain the duplicate values and the zeros here first in case you're new to the channel. So the reason there's duplicate values, Microsoft showing up twice, United Health showing up twice, is because my portfolio is currently spread between two different brokers, Vanguard and Fidelity. I was originally doing all my portfolio management on Vanguard, but over time I didn't really like their system as much anymore, and I think that Fidelity offers a lot of benefits that Vanguard just does not. So I've been in the process of trying out Fidelity now for I think over a year, and I do really like it so far. I probably at some point will move my funds all over to Fidelity, but in the meantime, I'm just basically purchasing new shares in Fidelity and leaving my old portfolio still in Vanguard untouched. Because of that, I have some duplicate values here like Microsoft, United Health, SCHD, and VOO. Now the second question might be, why are there zeros here for the quantity? So I used to reinvest all my dividends for every single share in my portfolio, but over time that made it pretty complicated, especially when I wanted to sell at losses and tax loss harvest. To give you an example, when I sold my Ford shares a couple years ago at a loss, I was planning on harvesting those losses on my tax return, but because of the dividend that I forgot was going to be reinvesting within the next week or two, I ended up basically purchasing more shares automatically with that dividend. Now because of that, tax law does not allow you to harvest the losses on the sell if you repurchase the same security within 30 days, so unfortunately that was a pretty big loss for me. So since then, I've decided to not reinvest most of my dividends and to just pocket them and then invest them as I see fit throughout the year. Now there are some exceptions, as you can see here. PayPal is an exception only because I recently repurchased it and I forgot to turn off the automatic reinvestments by the time that the dividend was already reinvesting back into PayPal. Going forward, it should also be at 0. And then SCHD and VOO are my foundations of the portfolio, which I don't plan on selling, especially not to harvest losses anytime soon. So I don't mind them reinvesting and continue to compound by themselves. So from top to bottom, we have Target here at a pretty substantial dividend, then Visa, S&P Global, Microsoft, 3M, Google, Northrop Grumman Corporation, Home Depot, United Health, which was really substantial, almost $40 right there, PayPal, SCHD. This was my largest SCHD payout ever, I do believe, and we'll check that in just a couple minutes. And the same thing for VOO. I'm pretty sure my largest VOO payment ever. Now for the cash that I have sitting on the side, I do keep it in a money market fund. So we have VMFXX, that's for my Vanguard account, and SPAX for my Fidelity account. So I almost have no cash in my Vanguard account anymore. I moved all the sitting cash into Fidelity, so I got 65 cents for the month. And Fidelity, I got 14.41, which I track right here, but don't include in my dividend income. If you are curious, in total, I've earned $1,100 from the cash sitting in my account so far. Now the last thing I can point out is my purchases for the month, and I did go over some of them in some previous videos. If you want to check them out, just stick around till the end of the video. The end cards, I'll have my video focusing on Intuit and my video focusing on Microsoft right there for you to click on. Regardless, I've been doing my weekly buys of VOO and SCHD, $200 each week for VOO and $50 each week into SCHD. And no matter what the market conditions like, I continue to purchase these two ETFs as a foundation in my portfolio. Outside of that, I've been taking opportunities to grow my position in Intuit as the stock price continues to dip down, and the same thing can be seen here for Microsoft. Now that we've looked at all the orders for the month, let's hop into my dividend calendar. This is basically my favorite sheet in the spreadsheet these days, and it shows all my dividends over the course of the year in the portfolio. Now just to explain how it works, we have the first column here, which has the ticker symbols, and the rest of the columns have the months of the year with the total column all the way at the end. So here in the corner, you can see the total dividends I've earned so far this year. Down here, you can see the total per month of how much I've earned in dividend income. And over here, you can see the total per share. So some of the stocks have not been growing over time, and that's because I've stopped reinvesting the dividends. So as long as they don't do a dividend increase, the dividend is going to remain the same. For example, 3M paid 88 cents in March and 88 cents again in June. Now for holdings that I've added more into the position, my Microsoft position was significantly smaller in March, so I got paid $374, but now it's much larger, so I got paid $866 from all the new shares that I've purchased. Then we also have ETFs like SCHD and VOO, and you can see here that this is the largest SCHD payment I've ever received at $76.09, and the largest VOO payment at $89.65, and this one has grown both from dividend increases as well as me continuing to add more capital into the positions. Now, if we quickly take a look at the monthly breakdown section, this is an older sheet within my spreadsheet, but the reason I still like to see it is because it shows how much I've invested and how much dividends I've received every month since starting, and it's the best way to visualize which month has paid me the most in dividends and which one I've purchased the most stock in. So we can scroll all the way to the bottom so we can take a look at 2026, and my new record is highlighted here with conditional formatting. So I got a total of $267.42 of dividend income in June, and that is by far the largest month, with I believe March being the previous record at $242.12. Now the cool thing we can see here is that my largest month last year was December, so there's still a chance that we beat this record in December of this year, which I'm really hoping we can do. Now, we were pretty close to beating the investment record at $4,500 this past month, but in April of last year, I invested over $5,400, which was pretty crazy. Now, the graph right here does a good job helping to visualize how my dividends have grown over time. Because of my large concentration in ETFs, it is pretty sporadic. On the months that VOO and schd pay, it shoots up significantly higher than on my average months, but regardless, you can see that the trend is continuing up and to the right over time, which is what we like to see. As always, that does bring us to the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at my portfolio and seeing how much dividends I've received this month and which stocks I've been buying the past month. If you did make it all the way to the end of the video, leave a like, it helps out the channel a ton, and let me know in the comments down below what your biggest payer was for this month and how much dividend income you received in total. If you haven't yet watched last week's video where I do a deep dive into my Microsoft position and explain why I'm purchasing more shares at this price, check it out right here. And if you want to see me buying the worst performing company in the S&P 500, which is Intuit, check out this video right here. Remember, the best time to invest was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. I want to thank every single one of you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.